Hey guys, YouCanDoItTech here. So I've kind of dived into my Galaga, so I wanted to kind of give you guys an update. So I got the whole front taken apart. I got that taken apart, the control panel, and I was just experimenting. So originally, I had plugged in a Miss Pac-Man because I figured they were similar. So Miss Pac-Man adapter didn't work. So I have this adapter, which I don't know if you can focus on there. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Let me put it on here. So it's a Galaga Jam adapter, 2bits.com. It has some test switches, manual test switches here. Power for the CPU. So this comes from the power supply, and then one for video. So power to the monitor and whatnot. And this is what plugs the actual Galaga board has. So this actually, because before I plugged it in, the 60in1 would turn on, but I got no picture, no sound or anything. So I did some more research, figured out I had the wrong adapter. I thought they were the same as Miss Pac-Man machines. Apparently they're different. So got this adapter. It does have right here, which is really cool, ground, up, down, left, right, button 1, button 2, button 3, service switch, test switch, and for player 2. So you don't have to actually cut into your harness or anything like that. You can actually run wires directly from your new controls straight to the board without soldering or anything. So that's actually really awesome because that saves you a lot of time. I plugged it in, and so I plugged this into my board. So let me grab the other board and I'll hook it up and show you what happens. My PAL board, my CPS2, and this is the 60in1. So I'm going to take this out, so I'm going to set the camera down. So I have my 60in1 board. I tested it out on this machine, and it works fine. The screen looks good. Granted, it's sideways because this is a horizontal monitor and not a vertical monitor, but it's sideways. I went in there and hooked it up to adjust not only these dip switch settings, which I'll show you right here. Let me move this stuff out of the way. But here's the manual that comes with it. And I want to show you guys all this because a lot of times you watch videos on YouTube or whatever, and they hook it up and they're like, look, it works. Everything worked out perfectly. Well, it's not always that easy, depending on which cabinet you have. Is it JAMA? Is it a VGA monitor? Whatever. So it's not always that easy. So first thing I had to do is go in here to dip switch settings, and I had to look here. And so you have screen orientation. So if your screen is upside down, flip that switch the other way and it'll flip it right up. I saw a guy on Arcade Tips talking about messing with his monitor, turning his neck board upside down and all this stuff to get it right. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is flip this, and it'll flip the screen around. Next one is what kind of monitor you have. So if you turn on your monitor, you turn on your board, everything lights up, but your monitor doesn't turn on or anything, try flipping number 2 dip switch, which is right here, number 2. Try flipping it the other way and it'll come on. Mine, I've noticed down, which would be off, which the way I'm reading this would be VJ, but I believe it's opposite. So I believe if you have it down, it puts this on, which is CGA, which gives me picture. So that's good. High save, if you want high save on. So obviously you probably want that on. You flip this switch. So I have it actually down. So number 3 is actually number 3 is up. So that turns it on. So you just gotta test with these because sometimes they tell you think you're flipping it one way to turn it on, but you're actually turning it off. So you just have to play with them, get what you want. So test mode. If I want test mode, this one's got to be on. And as you can see, it's down, which means it's not in test mode. So on is test mode, down is off. So the way I look at it is if it's up, it's on. If it's down, it's off. But you also got to go by here too, and play with them because this whole on-off thing, you know, it's kind of tricky and confusing. And also depends on how your monitor is hooked up, which orientation it's in, and whatnot. So it's really easy. You just turn it on and see what it does and see what functions you have, and if not, you flip them. So like when I first turned it on, it was upside down, so I just flipped this switch the other position and it flipped over. Didn't have a picture at first. I flipped this switch and now all of a sudden I had a picture. Then it was upside down. I flipped this, flipped it right side up. This one, I think I do have high save on, because which would be the up position on number 3, because when I go in the test menu, it asks me if I want to erase the high save. If you have it off, it won't even give you that option. Next one is system mode, which, so if you want to go to the test menu, you can put it one way. One way goes to the test menu, other way goes to the game. Now, I was hooking it up to my machine and I couldn't get anything to work. Well, what I realized was it was because I had to put a coin in to get, I was moving the joystick around, hitting every button, couldn't get anything to work. Well, you can actually select a game or move your cursor on the screen until you put a coin in. So what I wanted that to be off. So what you actually have to do, and I'll show you this too, is when you turn your test switch on, it goes in the test menu. The first row across the top of the screen, it should be on the top of the screen. In my case, it was on the left side facing sideways. The first row is these dip switch settings. So it actually will look like this, and it'll go across the top of the screen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. And it'll be on, off, on, off, on, off. So that's this first one. If you scroll down to the next section down, it'll say dip 2. Dip 2 is actually this section right here, and it'll actually be orientated like this from left to right. So you just go through, okay, demo music, do I want to on, off? You hit fire 3 to switch it. Fire 1 goes back. Fire 2 is enter or next. So if you select it and then you hit fire 3, button 3 or whatever it is on your machine, and it'll switch this to on and off. So do you want demo music on? Do you want game demo music on? Sound, and then free play. So I got to free play, which was the dip switch number 3, and then I just turned it on, so it was free play. So then when I rebooted the machine, all I had to do was hit the 1 player button, and then I can select games. For a while there, I was wondering why none of my buttons worked on my Galaga machine. Well, that was why. So now that I have it set up, now it's turned off, and I'm removing it from that machine, taking it back into the other room. So let's go in the other room here and show you what I have come up with. So here's the first board. This is your 60in1. It could be a 19in1. I'm sure they're very similar. So then let's go back to the back here. So this is how the Galaga machine is hooked up. So isolation transformer, your power supply. You have this cable coming from the monitor plugging into the board right here. So this cable plugs right into the board. This is your video, and that goes up until this port right here. And then you have this power cord coming in. So basically you just disconnect this one. So I have that hanging down, and then I will disconnect this one, which I don't like these connectors because it forces me to pull on my board, and I'm afraid I'm going to crack my board. So anyway, so I have this cable, so I'll just hang this out here. Okay, now next I got to get my adapter, but let me first unhook this JAMA connector. The JAMA connector is disconnected. Now, one thing to know on your board, in case you don't know, these ground cables go opposite of these notches. So the two ground cables on the end here, with all these gaps in between, goes on the end here. So it should look like this in your machine. So I had to figure that out because I pulled it out and then I went to hook my machine back up and I couldn't figure out which, did it go this way or this way, and I didn't want to hook it up wrong, and I might have done it, and I think I might have screwed up my speaker or my sound chip. So be very careful. So just so everybody else can not make that mistake, the ground wire goes on this side. And sometimes you have to look at the traces and figure out where they go on the board to figure out what that pin is. Normally power and ground are on one side and ground is on the other side. So you just got to figure out where's your 5 volts, and that'll be your side, this side with the big power wire. So make sure of that. So basically when you're looking at it, this side right here, this is the parts side. meaning I'm going to hook it up so that black face without any of the markings on it with the ground wires on the far right is going to be the side with all the components on it. If I have it hooked up like this, it's going to fry the board. So just be careful of that. So let me grab the other pieces of the puzzle here. Sorry for the mess. I got stuff everywhere here. I don't work in my garage. I kind of just work with the space I got. So I got my adapter board here. So first I will plug this in. It's basically a JAMA connector. So it's pretty easy. Part side up, and you connect these together. Anyways, so now they're connected. Next thing I want to do is hook up the JAMA connection. And like I said, the black side with the connections on the right will be my part side. So I will hook it up just like this. Okay, so I got it hooked up like that. I got the two ground wires on the far right, part side up, black side facing me. This is all hooked up. Now, to power it, I need to hook up my connector. So I have this one that goes to the monitor, goes to the one that says video. So blow that off there, it's kind of dusty. My way I'm going to go through and clean this whole machine, but I just want to get it working first. Once I get everything working, then I'll go through, clean everything up. So I got the power cable. So that can, I mean, these cables can only go in one way. They won't go in the other way, so don't have to worry about that. So now it's hooked up. So this will power the monitor, power the board. This board will actually power this board. So that's all good. My dip switch settings are set. So now I'll fire it up. I don't have any controls hooked up at the moment, but I just want to show you what happens at this point. So turn it on, and you'll see you got lights blinking. You should have on this one a green light and a red light. The red light showing you got 5 volts, green light showing you got 12 volts. This one's showing you have power to the board, and this one's showing it's loading. It'll turn green when it's done loading. So when you go around to the other side, which you've probably seen in other videos, sorry, I'm in my bedroom. This is my woman's nice enough to let me store these in my bedroom because I got a big giant wall here. You should get this screen. Now, hopefully it'll work better for you, but this system initialization wording should be about 1 inch from the edge here. So it should be touching my finger right now, or touching my thumb, but it's not. And I'll show you how that's a problem for me at the moment. So it takes a little while, and that's the thing about these boards is they go through every single game. So if they have 60 games, 61 games is going to go through 60 games. So, but it doesn't really take that long. It literally takes about 60 seconds. So now all of a sudden you have it. And since I have music off, I don't have the music playing, but normally it plays a little jazzy tune when this is going on. And then if you don't hit anything, it goes into demos of the games and goes through each game one by one, which is kind of neat. Now, the problem I have with it not being 1 inch from the side is now, as you can see, it is shifted over to the right. Now, to save you guys a little bit of trouble, you go to the back here and you say, okay, well, there's not much of a adjustments on this board. So first thing you're going to look at here, okay, so this first neck board here, I don't know if you can see it. This first one on the left is your screen brightness. Then you got your red, green, blue stuff on this board. So you're really not going to mess with that board at all. The next one is where you see that black knob. There's actually this black knob here, which is vertical hold, which is if your screen is scrolling or rolling very slowly or fast, it's flickering, then you can adjust this knob to adjust that hopefully. Vertical size changes your vertical size, so up and down. But since this monitor is sideways in a vertical position, this actually controls your left or right size. So that's something you got to remember is they make these monitors for normal operation. These monitors are flipped sideways, so the vertical size actually makes it wider and skinnier. So right now, if you notice, my screen was skinny. So if I look up here, I can kind of look through the crack there, and I can kind of see my screen, and I can kind of adjust it. Some people have said use a mirror. Right now I got it all the way tiny. Now if I start scrolling it out, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So eventually it'll hit the edges of the screen. Now the next one is the horizontal hold. So that controls horizontally if it's rolling the other way. Then underneath here you have a blue dial, and that is your actual horizontal position, which moves the screen for a Pac-Man or any vertical game. That blue knob there, right here, will move the screen up and down. So if your screen is really low, then you can turn it one way, or if it's cut off at the top, you can't see the scores or whatever, high score, you can turn it the other way, bring it down. Problem I had was not that it's high or low, but is that it's shifted to the right. So what I need is a vertical movement, vertical position knob. Well, I haven't been unable to find the vertical position knob. However, they do have jumpers, which they call the Raster jumpers, and they basically have a center pin, left pin, center pin, right pin, and basically wherever you put that pin will move the screen. I have it set on the far left pin, which did move it. Originally, this one up would have been a little bit over here, and so I moved it from the center to the middle, moved it to here, to the left, moved it over here, and that's as far as I can go. So it's still not centered on my screen, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But other than positioning, which I will figure out, if I have to, I'll get a different monitor or a different neck board or something to fix it. It's playable, but as you can see, the screen, it's not fitting on the screen. As you can see here, there's about a finger's width here, and over here I got about 2 fingers width over here. So I like to move it, ½ inch this way. As you can see, the free play should be centered right there, but it was a little bit off. So it is playable. I can do it, play with it, and it works. So I don't. The thing is I don't know if it is the adapter board. I plugged, like I said, I plugged that 61 into the other machine. It worked perfect. My Galaga board in this machine worked perfect. It was centered. As far as I knew, Galaga is a very black game, like this Donkey Kong screen, so you can't really tell very much. So maybe it's just something I didn't notice, but its position is off. So that's something I got to fix. But for now, I'm going to work on wiring up some controls. So I have this panel, like I showed you guys last video, and this is how it's going to be orientated. You got your stick here. I drilled 4 new holes. Because my joystick, which is right here, has different holes than what the original Galaga is, and this is actually a very nice joystick compared to what they had in there, so it's going to work out. So I just had to drill some 4 new holes to mount this. 3 buttons, so you got fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, player 1, player 2, or 1 player, 2 player start buttons, and this is for a trackball. Now for the 60in1 you can buy a trackball, and I have a trackball here. Just a little one, and it plugs directly into the COM port 3, which is on the right side of the board. It's hard to miss. There's 2 rows of pins. You can actually hook up 2 trackballs, I guess, if you wanted to play a 2-player trackball game or whatnot. So that just plugs right into the board. Very simple. It says COM 3, can only go in one way. You plug it in. The problem with this is before I bought all this kind of stuff together, but I didn't know that this trackball hole is huge. I mean, I think this is for like a 3-inch ball, whereas mine's like a 1.5-inch ball. So when I put it in there, it doesn't fit. So I'm gonna have to drill some more holes because it's not gonna mount right. And then there's gonna be a gap in there. So if I put this behind here, you can see what I'm talking about. There's gonna be a gap. Now, I might just get a trackball that fits this, or I might cut a ring to fit in between there to make it flush. I haven't really decided yet. There will be an overlay, so I'm kind of waiting on the overlay to come in to see how big the overlay hole is. The overlay hole is as big as this panel, then I might just go ahead and order a bigger trackball so I don't have that problem. But this one was cheap, and it's supposed to plug right in. So I guess I bought the wrong one, but I didn't have the panel or anything yet, so I didn't know which size trackball I needed. So I have this. Maybe I'll sell it if I don't end up using it. It's brand new. So that's that. So right now, easy way to hook up your wiring. There's a lot of places, auto parts stores, whatever, sells bundles of wire. So what I do is they come connected. Now this one has 4 wires, but I think actually when I bought it, it had 5 or 6, but I ripped off 2 of them. So you can see right here, there's like one that just has 2. So whatever your application is, you can just use whatever, and they stay together. That way you don't have to run individual wires. I can run this one wire, and I got 4 hookups. So I got up, down, left, and right here, and then I'll run another set for, you know, player 1, player 2, you know, fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, player 1, start, and then I'm done. I basically have 2 of these running to the back of the machine. And I could run another one if I wanted more buttons, like a player 2 player button, like so to play 2 players. But typically this machine is going to be a 1 player at a time game anyway, so I'm not really worried about having a second 2 player button hooked up. So I'm going to run 2 of these to the back, and like I said, these will hook in directly to the board, and then all I need is 1 wire, which I have this black wire to hook to the ground. So this hooks your ground directly to your board, to your JAMA connector, directly to the ground of the machine. And so you just run this up and run this to all the grounds on all your controls. So you just run it from boom to boom to boom all the way around, and then to all your buttons, and it should be done. So let me work on that, and then I will post another video and show you how it all turned out, and then hopefully I will be able to get this machine up and running. Even though the screen won't be centered, I'll be able to play it, and once I figure that out, then I will definitely post a video on how I got the screen fixed. So this is YouCanDoItTech. This is Tony, and I'll see you guys later.